Good morning, everyone. It's 7:59 right now, and we're about to get started. Roger, I'll ask you to unmute. I want to welcome everybody here this morning. It's 8 o'clock to the 2020 Gulf Coast Industry Forum. Even though we're virtual this year, we're very pleased to start the day with our basically our student breakfast. We're calling it our Industry Careers Panel this year. We're very pleased to have so many teachers and students join us online this morning. I know that we've got several hundred teachers and students from high schools and colleges in the region that have logged in this morning. We have a fantastic panel today who will offer valuable insight into the careers that really power our region, how to get to those careers, what it means to be in that career. I want to make sure that I encourage everybody that's watching to participate in the conversation via the Q&A box just below the live stream that you're looking at right now. You can scroll down just a little bit and put in your questions, and we'll have a chance at the end of their discussion to ask some of those questions to the panel. So be sure and do that. But before we get going, I want to introduce a very special person to us here at the Economic Alliance. That Roger Blackburn is the chairman of our Gulf Coast Industry Committee. Roger, why don't you take over and welcome everybody in this morning.
Hey, Chad, I appreciate it this morning and do want to welcome everyone to the student portion of our Gulf Coast Industry Forum. You know, when I began the part of leading and chairing this organization as far as the committee and what we're doing here today, one of the great things was the fact of actually building for the future a student's opportunity and chance for great careers. And so we began to ask our leadership that attended the conference, became part of it, to meet with our students, and they just really were glad to join in with students itself and really allow them to ask questions that might propel their career for the future itself. So what they've done is they've joined us, and I'm looking forward to hearing from these that we're going to hear from today. And I hope that our students will allow themselves ask those questions that you need to ask to make a difference in your life and allow your career to move forward for the future itself. So we welcome you today. Glad you're here. Thankful for our panel. We look forward to an exciting day and to this panel session itself. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Roger. We really appreciate your leadership and everything that you've done for this conference. You're really kind of the heart and soul, and we appreciate all that you do. Now, I would like to call in and introduce Patti Bell. She'll be popping up here in just a minute with our panel. Patti Bell is our Workforce Development Director. Patti works also as a board member of our Dream It, Do It Foundation. That group coordinates with our colleges, with our high schools, with our industry partners to coordinate over 100 events and meetings each year that market the careers that we have in this region that, excuse me, that help support the petrochemical and maritime industry along the Houston Ship Channel. Patti, welcome in. I'll turn it over to you now to bring in and introduce our first panel.
Hello and good morning. We're so glad you're here to join us today. Having this virtual format is allowing so many more of you to be able to see our industry panel, have a chance to ask those questions. So that's a pretty exciting thing. I am Patti Bell, Workforce Development Manager here at Economic Alliance. I'm a part of the program called Dream It, Do It, Southeast Texas. It is part of the Manufacturing Institute, so there are some nationwide programs just besides ours. We go out and speak with students, parents, teachers, counselors, administrators, and underemployed adults to let them know about the future of careers in our area. As often as possible, industry representatives also are there so they can share their real life experiences with the people. Right now, I'd like to introduce our panel. We have Dave King, Workforce Development Manager, INEOS Olefins and Polymers USA. Carla Thompson, Turner Industries Group, LLC, Workforce Development Manager, Western Region. Glenn Johnson, BASF, Head of Workforce Development, BASF North America. And Byron Brister, Air Products, Senior HR Partner, HYCO, and South Regions and North America Operations. Reminder that there is a box just below here that you can type in questions that you have, and the panelists can answer them throughout the session. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dave.
Well, thanks, Patti. I appreciate your time, everyone, this morning. This link between education and business and other activities that all relate to forming this talent pipeline are really critical. So really appreciate the time that you're spending this morning. Really appreciate the time from the Economic Alliance. We've got a great panel today. We're looking forward to your questions. And right on cue, just as we got pulled over into this, it started to rain like crazy where I'm at. So I'm hoping that's not going to be an impediment. Anyways, with that, you've had an introduction to our panel. We've got a varied panel from different companies, different industries, different parts of their companies, but all with an underpinning of workforce development and making sure that we have an appropriate talent pipeline to bring people into the industry, but also to ensure your success once you get into one of our companies. So with that, I think I just toss out an additional question, and this will be for everyone, but perhaps we can start with you, Carla. What does your company do?
Our company, we are industrial contractors. So we actually go to work in the plants for companies like BASF and INEOS. We are all across the Gulf Coast. We have people working in different craft jobs. We also have a business end too. So just like any other company, not only are you going to have people in the field doing pipe fitting, electrical work, industrial work, but we have accountants and buyers. So it's industrial construction.
Thanks, Patti. How about you, Byron?
Yeah, so Air Products is the third largest industrial gases company in the world. We are the largest producer of hydrogen and helium in the world, and we also produce oxygen, nitrogen, argon, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and we are a part of the chemicals industry. We have, about 40 locations across the Gulf Coast, and as I said, we are a global company.
Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about BASF?
Sure. So BASF is the largest chemical company in the world. We've got, I think, 112,000 employees, 390 locations in 80 countries. Now, I tell you the size because the question, what do we do, is there is so many different types of jobs within BASF. Now, the end result is we take innovative ideas and create substances that, say, make carpets more durable or diapers more absorbent. Those are the types of things that we create out in the market. But with organizations like manufacturing, and in particular BASF, I mean, manufacturing can take you basically anywhere. I mean, it's not just about making things, making better things. It's about making things better, safer, more sustainable. Whenever the manufacturing industry, and in particular petrochemical, we make a lot of things, but there's a vast array of jobs that are available within this industry.
Thanks, Glenn. I'll tell you a little bit about INEOS. We're also a large global chemical company like BASF, not quite as large. We like to joke that we're probably the largest chemical company you've never heard of. But we do have big operations here in the US, and we have them globally as well. One interesting factoid that I found out during the pandemic is that INEOS provides over 300 chemicals that are actually going into the fight against COVID, whether that be for medical devices, ventilators, hand sanitizer, et cetera. So as Glenn noted, the industry as a whole has a great societal benefit, and you can find it in 98%, I believe, is the statistic of all of the things that you use on a normal and daily basis. So with that, let's maybe switch gears a little bit. And Glenn, I'll start with you because you touched on this, but what kind of careers are available in the industry?
Well, there's a lot, as I said, there's so many different things that you can do in large organizations like this. I mean, but the main thing that comes to mind is technicians. That is a really high demand role. That's a high paying role. And when I say technicians, lots of different types, from instrumentation to electrical to process technology for operators and those types of things. And technical education for community and technical colleges has never been more important to that. And don't let anyone kid you. These jobs the pay for these jobs are right there with engineers and other types of professional roles because they are in high demand, they are highly technical, and they are highly available.
Carla, can you tell us a little bit about the jobs available in the construction industry?
Certainly, sir. You know, there's different types of construction. There's new construction, there's capital projects, maintenance. Turner is like the #1 maintenance contractor in the US, fabrication. So depending on where you step in, but we all hire pipe fitters, electricians, millwrights, welders. Craft positions are open. And again, they are technical positions. And as you advance within a company, besides being a strong craftsman, we need people that are great communicators. We need people that have great skills in technology, because as innovations happen, knowing a lot about technology is going to be a very, very important part of keeping up with this industry.
Byron, anything to add?
I think both Glenn and Carla touched on it. The technical aspect of our positions is very important.
So I lost connection there for a moment. I apologize for that. One of the things I think is important to note, and I think Carla, you alluded to this, is that even though you get into a given position, there's lots of opportunities to move within a company. Starting out as a pipe fitter or a process tech, you can easily move into a role in safety, into the environmental groups, maybe even into some of the reliability groups that we have as well. So there is a lot of opportunity to move once you're into a company as well.
Yes.
Byron, I might have lost Byron here, so perhaps I'll start with you, Glenn. But what do you think the prospects for a career in this industry are right now?
Well, I mean, you got to look that in the next 8 years, manufacturing is projected to need, I think it's 4.6 million jobs. And because of the general public's unaware that they are unaware of the high pay, the high levels of job satisfaction, and most recently really pointed out to us all is the essential nature of these jobs. Most of the public is unaware of this, of the work environment where they have a bad perception. Because of that, we're projecting to not be able to hire near enough of that 4.6 million jobs. So if you point your career towards manufacturing, and in particular petrochemical, you have some high prospects in the near future.
Carla, how about for the construction and maintenance industry?
The amount of people we're going to need is going to continue to grow. Right now, about 38% of the population is at or really close to retirement age. Hello. Okay, so we have to have people just to replace the workforce we have, plus add more. Here's the good news. If you live in the Houston region, the Texas Gulf Coast region, that is the hub of the petrochemical industry. And the opportunities for a strong, bright student is going to be endless.
Yeah, and I would add on to that, Carla, just a number to throw along with what you're saying is the Bureau of Labor Statistics put out just late last year that 52% of all workers in the workforce right now are between the ages of 55 and 64. So if you are a young person in high school and you're getting ready to graduate, the opportunities are about to open up completely, because there is not a large amount, this bar chart that they have, there's not a large amount that's coming behind them. So get skilled and be ready.
Yes.
I would add to that, Glenn, and I think we've seen this play out, is that because of that demographic, things really won't change in terms of demand. We're still going to have, in light of anticipated retirement, we're still going to have need for these jobs. Now, one of the things I want to address is that we've probably seen some projects. You've probably seen in the media that some projects have been put on hold, perhaps some have been canceled. But in fact, a number of them are still being built that were already in progress. A number are probably going to be slowed down, tapped on the brakes, and maybe some will be canceled. But we're certain to see more projects in the future due to the fact that we have such a major advantage in this region, as Carla mentioned. So we have what we call the Shale Gas Renaissance, which has really revived our industry, both from an energy standpoint and also the raw materials that we use. And that will not go away. That will persist. In fact, that's what's changed the dynamic for our industry and made Texas the economic engine for the country over the past 5 to 10 years, with over $80 billion of investment and hundreds of thousands of jobs, direct jobs related to that in terms of construction, operations, and maintenance, but also a lot of indirect jobs in terms of the services that support the industry as well. So although I think that we need to use caution because we're really not sure how everything's going to play out, there's a lot of positive signs and there's a lot of good underpinnings, very strong underpinnings for our region that would suggest that this is going to be a great industry to be in longer term. And I hope that you note that when we're talking about our industry and the roles in it, we're not talking about jobs, we're talking about careers. We're talking about things that you're going to be in for 15, 20, 30 years perhaps, maybe not in the same role, but you're going to build a career. You're not just going to have a job. Carla, I'd like to come back to you and then maybe back to Glenn and Byron, but speaking of COVID, how has that impacted the way that your company operates?
Well, you know, COVID is a concern, and our number one goal is to keep our employees safe. So there have been some slowdowns. There have been some projects, like Dave said, that have been put on hold due to industry. But here's the good news for you, is our industry is not stopped. As a matter of fact, our industry has changed to support COVID. So some of our clients that create specific chemicals are creating the tubing that the hospital needs and the sterilization materials that is needed to get us through COVID. This is one of the industries where our people did not stay home. Our people are going to work. Now we're using very, very safe practices. We're practicing social distancing. You know, we wear masks, but the good news is a lot of our workers are outside, which I think has really helped keep them safe, not being in that small contained environment. And we've been able to space people out and keep them working healthy and safely. And we continue, along with our clients, to follow all of their initiatives and their recommendations so our people stay safe.
That's great to hear, Carla. Byron, welcome back.
Sorry about that. We lost power here at my home.
Yeah, we were just talking about COVID-19 and how it's impacted workforce and how companies operate.
Sure. So obviously we have put in a lot of procedures and protocols to make sure that we keep our employees safe. But as Carla was mentioning, we've continued to operate our facilities. We are a large producer of oxygen, which is used in the hospitals, and we were tasked with putting hospital or oxygen generators into the field hospitals that were being installed both in New York as well as New Jersey to help with treating the patients that were impacted by the COVID-19 virus. And we've done a very nice job of keeping our employees safe, and it has not been an issue for us throughout the past 6 months that we've been in this mode.
Great, thanks, Byron. So I'm mindful of the time, so I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. Glenn, I want to start with you, but what kind of education, qualification, and credentials are required for this industry, and where can people get them?
So I'm sorry, I thought that one was for Byron there for a second. So yeah, the jobs that I mentioned earlier, the technical jobs, whether it be INE technician or process technology, there is an aligned education program for every one of those roles within community and technical colleges and in four-year technical colleges as well. Process technology, the Associates of Applied Science and Process Technology is what operators go to. Similar Associates of Applied Science for instrumentation, those types of things. San Jacinto College, Lee College, lots of the community colleges within the greater Houston area for sure, but they are really across the U.S. Some of the best ones are really here in Houston. And I want to mention that, you know, oftentimes we ask the word, is it a requirement? Lots of organizations will say maybe it's not required. Now, that may be a metered answer because of whether or not enough people with that credential are available. So although they may say it's not required, it's highly preferred. My suspicion is that it's usually highly preferred because there's not enough. And if you have this credential from these technical schools, you really have a leg up on anyone that is applying at the same time you are.
Hey, Carla, maybe I could turn it back to you because Glenn mentioned the community colleges. Can you talk about how your company is partnering with the community colleges to develop young talent?
Yes, sir. First, let me say, there is nothing wrong with working full-time and going to school at night. If you cannot afford to go to college right out of high school, there are ways for you to get into a great career. You start at the bottom, and with any company, you're going to start at the bottom, you're going to work your way up. So go to work during the day, take an entry-level job. Companies like Turner Industries, we support our employees by offering courses through the Construction Maintenance Education Foundation, which is a educational arm of the Associated Builders and Contractors. Also MSTI in the Freeport area and Coastal Bend Training Center down in Corpus Christi. We will have you work during the day. We'll send you to school 2 nights a week to start working on your career. And what happens is as your time in field is growing and you're gaining experience, you're also getting the classroom knowledge to help grow your career. Education is never wasted, and we want you to get as much education as possible. But on-the-job training is also a critical piece. Turner Industries here in Houston, we send our students to Lee College, we send our students to San Jacinto College, and we also send them to CMEF. I also want to tell you that the NCCR courses that you are taking in your high school classes, the East Harris County Manufacturing Association has put out a notification that this is the courses that they want craftsmen to take. So everything you're doing in high school and in your community colleges under the NCCR curriculum is going to help you move into those great journey level and technical jobs. But you know, the big thing we want you to know is the jobs are here, the education is very important, and we never want you to stop learning. We want you to continue to go to school and continue to grow.
Thanks, Carla. One thing that I would note, because there's a lot to digest here, but there's 2 great resources I think that you can use to find out more about careers in our industry. One of them is petrochemworks.com, petrochemworks.com. And there you'll find a great career matching tool based on your interests, your qualifications, and the type of skills that you have. And it'll either point you to a number of roles that you might want to investigate for our industry. And if you don't have the credentials for it, it'll point you in the right spot to where to go to, whether it be community colleges or CMEF. The other resource I'm actually going to push over onto Glenn to talk a little bit about Dream It, Do It, which is an organization that he and Byron and I, along with some of the community colleges, participate in order to advance careers in manufacturing. Glenn, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Dream It, Do It it's a national effort. It's aimed at correcting the perception of manufacturing jobs in particular, and also in recruiting the next generation as a result of that into those manufacturing jobs by delivering what we refer to as the manufacturing value proposition. Why is manufacturing a great place to point your career? And in particular in our area, petrochemical part of manufacturing. How we do that primarily is with two primary groups of people that have multiple activities. One of them is ambassadors. So BASF has people that are subject matter experts that work in the plant locations. Some of them are operators, and some of them are in maintenance, and some of them are in different roles. And we have a Dream It, Do It manager that Patti Bell, that will go out and make these meetings at your schools, at these schools, the independent school districts in this area, and deliver this manufacturing value proposition to the students at their schools. This is our career and technical education awareness efforts. Another way that the ambassadors engage is through Manufacturing Day. So it's really the same type of message, only a different setting. We deliver our message at your schools through our CTE awareness, but we deliver a similar message at our plants and sites during Manufacturing Day. So there's opportunity for the students to actually come and do tours of the facilities to see what are kind of a realistic job preview, if you will, to see what it's about. So that's what the ambassadors do, and a lot of effort is in that. I wish I had the numbers to say just how many. And Dave, maybe you can give us some of that whenever I finish here. But the other group is the Champions program. So Patti Bell is one person, and she does a massive amount of effort in connection with our ambassadors from our site locations, getting a lot of visits done and delivering this message to a lot of people. But what we want to do is amplify that effort, and that's what the Champions program is. So someone that maybe it's a teacher or a counselor or someone in the school district that sees this message being delivered and says, you know what, we delivered this to this classroom, but I'd like all these classrooms to get this information. How can I do that? And we make this person a champion. We give them the tools, the materials, the messages, the flyers, the websites, the virtual reality 360 videos that we have, so that they can deliver the message in a similar way that our ambassadors and Patti does. And through ambassadors, through champions, and through Patti, the manufacturing value proposition is the end result to recruit the next generation of workers, and that's what Dream It, Do It is.
And to your point, Patti's done almost 100 visits a year and reaching out to about 12,000 educators, parents, and students. So don't be shy about reaching out to her and have her come in and talk to your class. Carla, I want to come back to you for a moment because we talk more from a operations side in terms of credentials and experience. Can you talk to that on the craft side, please?
Certainly. The credential that a lot of our clients request is through the National Center of Construction Education and Resource, NCCER. So what happens is you come in, like I said, start at the bottom, entry level, labor, helper. We team you up with a craftsman in a specific area, and you get yourself up to a journey level, which means you're able to work independently. At that point, we have a third-party credential that we ask you to get, and it's through the NCCER program, and the assessment is in the craft that you're working in. Now, here's the good news. If you're in a training program in high school and you're taking pipe fitting, you can also go to school at night under concurrent enrollment and continue working on these NCCER credentials, or when high school is over, come to work for a company like Turner and finish out your training programs. At the end of a training program, we will give you the written portion of that assessment. Once you have time in field and you are able to work independently as a journeyman, we'll complete the credential by having you do your performance verification. The written plus the performance makes a credential called certified with NCCER, and it is in your specific craft field. So not only do you have to have the classroom knowledge, you need to have the practical knowledge, but it helps our clients know that you have a skill set that is very necessary for the assignments on their jobs.
Thanks, Carla.
Welcome.
We've got a number of questions that have come in through Slido, and just a reminder, if you have questions, you can put them in at the bottom. But Byron, I'm going to go to you first with one of these questions. Carla touched on this a little bit before, but what type of soft skills are needed by people to get into these roles beyond just the technical skills?
Sure. So first and foremost is the ability to communicate and work in a team environment. So it's absolutely a necessity for you to be able to work with others and communicate what's going on, not only what your job is, but also, you know, the jobs that other folks are doing in the sites.
Okay. Yeah, I would add to that, I will not add to, but kind of emphasize that team aspect of that. And any of the curriculum inside these schools that can be, if it's not already there, altered to where it is a team production type of learning, whether, you know, whatever the curriculum is, if it can be put together in a way so that 5 or 6 students are working together for a unified output so that they are relying on each other, this will deliver that team idea better than anything else that you can do. And I can't say enough about having the ability to work with teams.
You know, the only thing I would add to that too are math skills are critical. It really doesn't matter what career you go into, petrochemical or medical, you have to have good math skills. So that's something we really want you to work on while you're in high school. The other thing that's critical to us is attendance. People that don't go to school aren't going to show up for work. You can't work as a team if you're not there on time and ready to work.
One thing I would just add, which has become more apparent recently, is that there's a component, what people call digital literacy. We're all moving to be more platform-based. There's a lot more technology, a lot more software. And ironically, what that doesn't mean is that we're going to be more separated from people. We have to be even more team-oriented. We have to improve our communication skills even more, because it's clear we're going to be shifting to more digital environments, but we need to remain and have that relationship, that human component that allows us to work effectively together as a team to keep people safe and to operate responsibly in an environmentally responsible manner. Carla, I want to come back to you with a question that came up. Specifically, what is the greatest career need or shortage in your maintenance or crafts department?
That's a great question.
Start with you, and then Glenn and Byron, you can add to that.
I think right now where we see the biggest need would be a millwright. So a millwright is a very mechanically minded person. So if you're in a career and technical education program for automotive, where you're learning how to take an engine apart, put it back together, that mechanical skill can take you a lot of places. Another area that we're seeing a need, not just with contractors, but other places, are E&I techs. So that's electrical and instrumentation maintenance technicians. It's a very, very important field. We're always going to need welders. I mean, that's everywhere. But the millwrights is where I see the most growth as far as having a gap between the people that are retiring and people looking to come into industry. And I can tell you right now that my HR manager, every time he looks at me, he says, "Thompson, find me a millwright."
Byron, how about for your company?
Yeah, I would echo what Carla just mentioned. You know, the community colleges have done a great job with building fantastic programs for process technology, which is for operators, and instrumentation, electrician, technician programs. What we don't have is the programs to develop millwrights and machinists. And so that is certainly a gap. That is where we probably have the most difficult recruiting for positions. You know, I think in years past, you had apprenticeship programs that companies had that developed millwrights, and those have basically phased out over the last 20 to 30 years. And so, you know, that's the one thing from a technical standpoint, we really need to continue to work with Lee College and San Jacinto and College of the Mainland, Lamar Institute of Technology, to encourage them to develop those programs so that we have individuals, you know, that are being marketed to go into that field, and then also to be a feeder group coming into the industry.
And let me just say that Brazosport College has a great millwright and machinist program. At the ABC Craft Championships, almost every year, the gold medal winners come from that program. Lee College has a great millwright program. San Jacinto has a great millwright program. It's getting the people to go to those programs. So if you're looking for a place to start right now, that would be a great career. Millwrights make the same money as industrial welders, and it's not as hard on your body. That mechanical sense is something that can be learned.
So I couldn't add to the list that they have. I mean, they've really covered Carla and Byron really well. I would say two things. I would emphasize one role by something one of my plant managers said last year, is that if you are an I&E technician, you are worth your weight in gold. And the other thing that I would add is that the one that's skill instead of role I would add is computer programming. And I don't mean, maybe the traditional sense of the word, but so much of our industry is moving towards IFTTT, which is if this, then this type of setups and anything that's programmable logic. We're getting to the point where we want even operators to understand that so that they can understand if a particular thing starts giving us a particular piece of information, what is the program, what is the if this, then this that results in that, to be able to verify if that problem is actually there. So if you like that kind of stuff, I think that is a future skill that may not be so prominent today, but I think will become more prominent.
Yeah, and Glenn, to build on that, the one thing that we have to have is people that have problem solving skills and critical thinking skills. That's not necessarily something that you're going to learn in school, but you have to have an interest in understanding how something works.
Glenn, I want to come back to you with a question. Actually, there's a number of questions related to co-ops, internships, and apprenticeships. Can you talk a little bit about how your company is doing that, how you see that in the industry? There was a question related to internship, apprenticeships in general, but then a couple of specific questions around whether a CTE, somebody in a CTE course qualifies for an apprenticeship, internship, and also for engineers.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about what it is that we do in this area and see if I cover most of that. So BASF absolutely delivers pay for tuition, and that's what a lot of this is. It's helping to acquire these credentials in a financial way. On the pre-hire side, we award scholarships, and that happens as early as really in late high school. And we also have apprenticeships that start right about that same time, where not only do you get your tuition paid for, but we provide job experience during the apprenticeship. And we also do, even after you're hired, tuition reimbursement for current employees. So about any way and every way that you want to skill, BASF has a program to make that happen. What else is in there, Dave?
Just who would be, who could apply for internships, whether it's CT people, engineers, or just folks in community colleges or other programs?
Well, the quick answer is anyone can apply to internships or our apprenticeships or scholarships and so forth. The best place to go is likely the community and technical college that you are planning to attend, and find out which programs are there and who the best contact is. The reason why I say that is because, as I said earlier, we have site locations all over the place. So if you're in Beaumont or Port Arthur, then you want to contact Lamar. We have strong connections with that advisory committee. If you're in Pasadena, it could be Lee College or San Jacinto. If you're in Freeport, it could be Brazosport College. So we have a strong connection on an advisory committee with every technical college that I'm aware of that delivers these types of skills that we need for people that we want to hire. And all of the programs that I've mentioned, I don't think there's a one when it comes to co-ops, scholarships, apprenticeships, and so forth. I don't think there's one of those we don't have every one of those programs with in those schools.
Well, I'm mindful of the time, but I did want to cover one aspect that I think is important. We talk about broadening the talent pipeline, and we know that there's a number of sectors of the population that are underrepresented in our industry. So I wanted to go around the horn and ask about the types of activities that your company is doing around diversity and inclusion and bringing more people into the talent pipeline. And Carla, maybe we could start with you.
Certainly, sir. The construction industry is a diverse industry. Our hiring practices allow us to work with high schools and outside organizations so that we can be more inclusive. So with Turner Industries, we hire through CMEF, we hire through the Women in Industry, we work with Junior Achievement, we do things with Workforce Solutions. We also work with outside organizations to help us find people that are underemployed or minorities to help them find the pathways into industry. The good news for our industry is if you're willing to work hard and you're willing to put in the time it takes, because you don't become a craftsman in 90 days. We don't have 90-day wonders. But if you're willing to put the time in and learn, we have jobs for you.
Byron, can I come to you next?
Sure. So Air Products has partnered with a number of schools in the region. We offer scholarships for minorities and females that are pursuing process technology and instrumentation programs. And much like Carla, we reach out to different community organizations. Obviously, I'm a part of the Dream It, Do It organization, as well as Skills USA. And so anywhere that we can increase visibility, not so much just for Air Products, but to the career opportunities that are available in the chemical industry, we're going to do that to provide visibility so that people understand what kind of opportunities are present for them.
Thanks, Byron. Glenn?
So BASF does this in some unique ways and some that are similar across the industry. We have what we call employee resource groups, and they're oftentimes referred to as affinity groups, depending upon whether their focus is pre or post-hire. And these groups are demographic-centric groups. So in other words, we have a women in manufacturing group. We have a Latin American employee group. And we have, I think there's 10 or 15 different groups that we have. We have one that is really targeted towards parents, even though that might not be a diversity category, but we see these groups and targets of people that we want to be sure that we're addressing the needs and the values of. So for example, in the pre-hire space, a lot of our ambassadors that I mentioned earlier are from these employee resource groups. So that whenever they go, say the Latin American employee group within BASF might go to the Houston Hispanic Forum, so that they can deliver what I also referred to earlier as the manufacturing value proposition that aligns with the values of that particular demographic, so that they are telling the stories that they feel is most important at that time. Also within development. Now at hire, another thing that we do to try to encourage diversity is that we're not only are we looking to hire diversity whenever we are recruiting, but our interview panels, the people who are interviewing the people for the job within BASF are required to have diversity. So there is a set amount of everyone that is going to be on that panel, percentages wise, that have to be diverse, whichever demographic that we're talking about. Post-hire, our employee resource groups also have inclusion activities. Once someone is hired, we want to be sure that they are not only onboarded, but they are welcomed as part of the family. So our employee resource groups do that as well. So we just basically ask ourselves what's important to that group.
Well, you guys, I'm going to come back to it for maybe a 30-second parting shot from each of you. But one of the things I did want to mention in the context of diversity and inclusion, and one of the hats that I wear, I see across the industry, I see across the region. And one of the taglines I love is, from a GED to a PhD, there's a spot for you in our industry. And another anecdote that I know Carla is aware of, was having a difficult time, got into an apprentice program, went and learned a trade, a pipe fitting trade, And I love what she said, and I think this quote is really important. She says she now pays more in taxes than she used to collect on welfare. So we realize as an industry that when we have roles like this and jobs like this that are well above the median salaries in our area, we want to broaden the pipeline. We need good people with both the technical and the soft skills to come into our industry, and everyone is invited. So with that, Carla, maybe 30 seconds, send off.
We just hope that we have sparked some interest in industrial construction with you and your students. Please reach out to us. Let us know your needs. Invite us to visit. We are here to support. That's one of the great things about Turner is we have a very strong workforce development team, and our workforce development team is available.
Thanks, Carla. Glenn?
Manufacturing, high pay, high demand jobs, high happiness for employees.
Thanks, Glenn. Byron?
Yeah, same. You know, the one thing I want to make sure everyone understands is the safety aspect. Is, you know, this is an incredibly safe industry, and you know, I can't stress enough the ability to be able to support yourself and your family with the pay, the benefits, and just the satisfaction of knowing that you're, you know, participating on a dynamic team.
Thanks, Byron. I'm glad that you came back to that because we definitely, as an industry, that is something we hold near and dear to our hearts. And we want to make sure that people are aware that when they come into the industry, they will be working along with colleagues that share the same interests and working to support their communities as well and raise communities as a whole. With that, Chad, I see you've come back on, so I think I'll turn it over to you. I just want to say again, really appreciate everybody's participation this morning, especially our panelists, Carla, Glenn, and Byron. And I apologize that we didn't get to all the questions. If there's some specific ones that we can use to get back to them, we'll work through the Economic Alliance to make that happen. Thanks, everyone.
Outstanding, Dave. And we had a lot of fantastic questions coming in. I know we had several hundred teachers and students watching you guys this morning. So I want to say thanks for everybody for logging in for the careers, for the industry careers panel, which is in essence our student breakfast with our industry experts for the conference each year. So this has been fantastic. Panelists, these are our audience needs to know these panelists right here work as hard or harder than anybody that I know in the industry, promoting our industry, mapping those pathways out, getting people into this industry. And you heard them. There are high paying careers, job satisfaction, safe work environments. You're making things that make life better for everybody else. And so I can't thank you guys enough. Fantastic job. We'll let you guys log off now, but I want to say thank you one more time. I really appreciate everything that y'all do and appreciate you taking time this morning.